MrBeast is evil. Well, that's an awkward phrase. I'm sure it's awkward to hear it, but MrBeast exists in a world of awkward truths. And let me start by saying that when I say MrBeast, I do not mean Jimmy. I do not mean the individual. I mean the entity of MrBeast, which is something that goes beyond just him. It's a persona that's created for YouTube and a persona that does all kinds of things and gets lots and lots of hits. MrBeast is like an energy that we kind of need in this society, and that's what I really want to talk about. I want to talk about why that exists. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to ask the question why over and over and over again. Something I learned in my senior high school class, one of the best teachers I've ever had. He would ask why when it seems obvious. He would just make sure that we understood why. So first off, let's ask just why is MrBeast doing this? And what do I mean by that? Like, why is he giving away thousands of shoes and curing people's blindness and giving away boatloads of money and free cars? Why is he doing that? Well, some look at it and they're like, obviously he's exploiting people for clout so he can make money for all of his business endeavors. That is a reason. One of the other reasons why is because he is a good person and he is helping lots and lots of people. And that's the end of it for some. Rich guy, he's curing blindness. That's it. He's above criticism. And look, he donates all the money he makes from the philanthropy back to other philanthropy. He's an angel, he's an amazing human, and there's a special place in heaven for MrBeast. That's another reason why. I don't know if he's a good person or not. I don't know him. I don't know what goes on in his head. So I can't speak to that, but I can say that the things that he does are very good. Helping people who are blind, very good. Giving people who need shoes, cars, money, whatever, that's good for those individuals. But let's go a little bit deeper. In MrBeast's video where he cures 1,000 people of their blindness and gives them a bunch of money and, the music swells and everyone feels really good. Well, there's a point where the doctor is talking and he says,
they can't see, but we have all the technology to fix it.
Yep, half of all the blindness in the world is people who need a 10-minute surgery.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And MrBeast's response is just like,
I just made it one less.
Oh.
But there's no questioning of that. There's no why can those people not be healed? The other million? Why are we only healing 1,000? Well, that's all MrBeast can do. Well, that's fine. But why does this situation exist? Why do we live in a world with the technology and the means, but we don't give these people the 10-minute surgery? That's the why that we need to be talking about. And that's the why that MrBeast never asks. And MrBeast cannot ask this question because that is the why of MrBeast. MrBeast exists because we have a need in society, and he cannot question this need because if we did not have that need in society, we would not need MrBeast. My opinion on MrBeast would completely change. I would not say that MrBeast is evil if he simply did one thing and just said, why? Why do we live in a society that allows such suffering? Why do we live in a society that allows people to go blind and we don't do anything about it? Why do we have the means to take care of everyone, but we don't? Just ask those questions. That's socialism. Is socialism evil? I mean, taking care of people? So right now we're relying upon the whims of a few rich people and just hoping that they are good so that they can give back to society. That's all we're doing. Now, this dates back, if you look at the way rich people operate and what they're doing with that money and how they use philanthropy as a way to buy goodwill with the citizens in order to be able to do anything they want and then just be able to point and say, like, well, look, I cured blindness. Therefore, I am above critique with all my other business ventures. And anyone like me, as soon as I start saying things, I know there's already a ton of comments that have been posted because we're a little bit into the video. And a lot of those comments are going to be like, wow, you're hateful. You don't like successful people. What have you done that's so good? Have you ever cured anyone's blindness? What would you do if you got sponsored? I bet you'd keep all the money for yourself, wouldn't you? And those are all questions that shut down the entire topic and do not allow us to critique. I volunteer, I've given to food banks and stuff, but I'm not going to give you the details and I'm not going to make videos about it. Is it evil to exploit people and help them at the same time? Well, that's the paradox, because MrBeast is, getting a lot of clout out of this, but he's also helping people. And I think it's an awkward exchange because these people are expected to be on camera. They're expected to show themselves vulnerable, crying, in need. They're expected to show themselves in a state of desperation. It's maybe worth the trade-off to be cured of blindness, but why do they have to go through that? It's really an awkward situation. And people are like, well, how would you know? You've never done anything like this. So in case you're new here, I did give away a car several years ago. And when I gave away that car, it was supposed to be a fun thing. We're giving away a car, and we got sponsored by a bunch of computer companies to also give away a computer. And when we got there to the person's house, well, I was going to hand deliver the car. That was the whole thing. And I did hand deliver the car. When I got there, realized that the person whom we were giving the car to really needed it. There was some extreme illness in the family, which made him the sole breadwinner. And therefore, he really needed a car so he could get back and forth to work. He didn't have a car, and it was just a bad situation. And the car was really going to be helpful. And once we realized that, it changed from being a fun thing into being a thing where we were videotaping something that was kind of vulnerable. And it was an awkward situation, and I felt bad about it. I didn't feel right about showing it. So we did cut out a lot of the video where there was, more emotion and just the sight of more vulnerability than I thought was appropriate to show, because it was an invasion of that person's privacy. But I don't think MrBeast cares about that. He just shows people in their most vulnerable way, because a lot of it, in my mind, is more about him doing the good deed and not about the good deed helping those people. It shows both and makes you feel good. And as someone who views it, you're able to have a secondhand feeling of good, because we desperately need that feeling in society of like, a good deed was done. These people were saved. But really, the root of the issue is much deeper than that. So I think it's awkward. Having said all that, it is better that the people can see. That's better. But saving 1,000 of them, when we have the technology to save all of them, why do we live? What kind of a monstrous system are we in where people have to go blind and rely on the whims of a billionaire or a millionaire? It's kind of, in my opinion, becomes a grotesque spectacle. So someone else asked me, like, what would I do if I had $20,000? Would I give it to charity or whatever? And that's a really perverse question, because it completely removes my ability to critique anything in society unless I am the most righteous person ever, unless I've given the most. It creates this ridiculous thing where, like, well, if you were rich and you gave away more, then maybe you could critique someone else. But if you're not going to measure up to their level of giving and their level of righteousness, then you're not allowed to critique anything about this entire situation or have an opinion on society as a whole. It's a complete shutdown of the topic. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and answer it. If I had $20,000 from a sponsorship, I would probably take it and hire a bunch of artists to work on a project or something. And that's what I would do. And the project would probably have some messages that were anti-capitalist. They would have some messages of just kind of about what we're talking about right here. Everyone knows where I'm coming from for the most part. I think our current state of capitalism is just a system of inequality. It's socialism for the uber wealthy, because the politicians will do anything for them, and then just desperation for everyone else. That's it, All right, the last thing I want to talk about is ghost kitchens, because that's one of the ways that MrBeast uses his money. Like, I know people are going to say that he takes all the money that he makes from philanthropy and puts it back into more philanthropy, but there's a lot of business endeavors here. So you would need to understand that maybe all the money he makes from the specific philanthropy videos and such, whether it's $1 million, $2 million per video or whatever, that ad revenue adds up. But if he makes that and puts it right back in, what it does is it raises the tide for everything that he's doing. The philanthropy becomes bigger, but so does everything else that he's involved in, because that's literally what it is. It's like the tide raising for all of his endeavors. But let's talk about ghost kitchens, because MrBeast has Beast Burger or whatever, MrBeast Burger or whatever it is, and he's using a ghost kitchen to do that. And this is the other thing that I think is pretty dishonest, because it's the lie of equivocation. He goes on and he says that his MrBeast Burger restaurant is helping mom and pops, helping small businesses who during the pandemic didn't do very well, and they need some way to make money. So of course you just put his face on a burger and sell that on an app instead of making your food, and then you can make money. This is an attitude that I see with a lot of venture capitalists and a lot of tech bros, a lot of CEO-brained people, and it's extremely patronizing because it assumes that everyone in the world does everything specifically just for money. And it says, okay, yeah, you've got this kitchen you set up and you had a dream to create the best tacos in your entire area. You've got a special recipe that you like to create with the masa harina for the shells, and you get really nerdy about it. And you're not doing so well during the pandemic, so MrBeast is here like, I will save you and you will make money All you have to do is make my mass-produced hamburgers in your restaurant instead of making the artisanal food that you love. But it's going to be great because you're going to make most of the money. I'll make some of the money because my face is on it, of course. But I'm here to save you with my innovative ideas on how you can make the things that I tell you to make and make money. It's a better way for you to make money. And we see this in a lot of different areas where tech bros will come into an area like art, for instance, and they don't know anything about art. They're not artists in that way at all, but they show up with a better, more streamlined way to do it and try to tell the others, the other real artists, the other real chefs, how to do their job by saying like, no. All this painting, all this drawing you're doing, that's crazy. Just use my AI app. All you have to do is just type in big butt underwear and there you go. You don't have to draw big butt underwear people anymore. It just spits them out all day long. So when MrBeast says that he's helping these people, what he's helping them do is just make money by shutting down their own dreams and shutting down their own ability to make the things that they wanted to make in the first place. And the other awkward part of this is he doesn't even mention what's really going on with ghost kitchens. Now, a ghost kitchen, I'll sum this up as quickly as possible. I'm going to link a long video in the description that I highly recommend that you watch, especially if you're someone who uses apps to buy your food online, like Uber Eats or whatever else. I don't use any of them because I like to cook. But if you're someone who uses these apps, you may have noticed a strange phenomenon where you want a chicken sandwich and you go online and you're like, I want a chicken sandwich. And so, 20 restaurants pop up with chicken sandwiches, and you notice that like 15 of those 20 restaurants, they're all different restaurants on the app, but they have like the same chicken sandwich. Even the description is almost the same. Well, what's going on is there are ghost kitchens where venture capitalists get together. People like, MrBeast is one of them, but they get together and they have a kitchen. And inside that kitchen, it's, on the outside, it just looks like a warehouse or an apartment or something weird. But on the inside, it's 15 different restaurants, and they take up 15 spaces on the apps while you're trying to order. So when you're looking for chicken sandwich, you're going to be presented with the illusion of choice. But really, it's one kitchen that is 15 different restaurants. And then the mom and pop restaurants are in there somewhere, but you're way more likely to order from one of the 15 restaurants that's actually the same physical restaurant, and that profit is going to the same venture capitalist, putting the mom and pops out of business. And that is the world that this exists in, and that is the world that MrBeast Burger exists in. And MrBeast does not exclusively help small restaurants or mom and pop restaurants. He also has trailers that have been converted into MrBeast Burgers in certain areas. He is part of ghost kitchens that are owned by venture capitalists. So this is not, in my opinion, a pure endeavor, and it shows that stupid CEO-brained, patronizing view of everything, that everything is about profit and everything is about the bottom line, and artistry, that doesn't even enter their brain. To sum it up, I think the persona of MrBeast and others like it, they really expose the dystopia that we are currently in. I think it's really disgusting that we rely upon the rich and we look to the rich, and a lot of these videos train us to look to the rich people for salvation. But I have a better idea. What we could do, instead of hoping that a billionaire or a millionaire chooses us to save or chooses one of our friends, we won the billionaire lottery, now we can be cured of our blindness, but I'm sorry to the other millions who didn't win the rich guy lottery. Sorry, but hey, great YouTube video. The music swelled, I cried. Let's talk about another way that we could do this. All right, so what if we came together as a society? Okay, all the inequality. Some people have so much that they can't spend it in 90 lifetimes. Well, you know what? Let's take some of their money. Because they're here, they're part of our society, and we want society to be good for all of us. So we're going to take some of their money. We'll pitch in what we can. Everyone pitch into a pot. And then, now that we have this pool of money, we can use that to improve society. Free healthcare for those who are in need. Now, everyone who is blind and can benefit from this 10-minute surgery can have it. There it is. We've made their lives better. We've all come together, and you know what? That made the entirety of society better, because the communities they live in can now benefit from whatever changes happened in their life. And if that happens to them and some other changes happen to other people in that life and they're in the same community, the quality of the entire community will be elevated. We can use it to build new roads, so Amazon can deliver their junk and not pay taxes. We can use it to develop all kinds of, we can put it together to make all of our lives better. And the rich will pay a little bit more because they can afford it. Let's call this system taxation. There we go. I invented taxes. Right now we do have taxes in America, but we're so afraid of socialism that we still have to commodify everything, including our health. Harvard did a study a few years ago, and they discovered that 60,000 people would survive every year if we had universal health care. But since we do not have universal health care, 60,000 people have to die. 60,000 people have to die. What kind of system do we live in where we have the resources, we have the funding, but we've decided to let these people die in the interests of capitalism? So, Jimmy, if you're watching this, I don't know if you're good or you're bad. The fact that MrBeast has to exist shows that our society is extremely ill. And I know you're doing well. I know you're well off. Please question these things. Please ask some of these deeper questions. Why is it on you and based upon your whims as to who can be healed? Why is that how society is going? I know you're young. Look 1 or 2 levels deeper into some of these things. Why is this the world that we live in? It's been good to you, but it's not good to most people. People are going to argue that capitalism is maybe bad, but it's the best we've got. And they're going to say, even if we try something else, humans are selfish and greedy, and they like to exploit others to make money. So, it's just, we just have to create a society that rewards the negative aspects of humanity the most. That doesn't make any sense. Humans are also selfless sharers. They love to create culture. They love to help one another. They love to pitch in when they can. Some people want to help. Some people like to create art. Why do we not create a society that rewards those traits of humanity and punishes the traits of humanity that make life hell for all the rest of us? We reward selfishness and greed the most because of our system. And the people who are selfish and greedy create an environment that is disgusting and toxic for everyone else around them. If we had a society that rewarded selflessness, rewarded helping others, rewarded artistic creations, then that would make people's lives better. So I don't buy the argument that capitalism, we have to have it because, people are bad, so let's reward them for being bad. That's stupid. That's the dumbest argument I've ever heard. So ask some of those questions. Ask why we are in a society like this, and then I will stop saying that MrBeast is an evil necessity of this toxic world.